get to the bag, ayy. Got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast, ayy. Let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss, ayy.
Hey guys, before we jump into the episode, I wanted to let you know it is brought to you by the NMFTA. Let me ask you a question. Do you ship LTL freight? Then listen up, because the NMFC changes went live on July 19th, and they're the biggest updates in the history of freight classification. Now more than ever, accuracy matters. That's why carriers, shippers, and brokers alike are turning to Class IT Plus, the NMFTA's new digital platform for real-time NMFC data. Stop guessing, start classifying smarter, and quote freight with confidence. It's time to get your ship together because the NMFC changes are already here. Learn more at nmfcchanges.com and get started with Class IT Plus at classitplus.com. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Thursday, everybody. I got a very special guest for you guys here today. Obviously, I love talking about freight, but I can only talk about the market and current events for so long. There's so much stuff that goes on in this industry. There's so many different facets of trucking. And the primary source of this show has always been education and insight. I just want to help people get better in business because I'm trying to get better in business. And I'm, especially on the fleet side, how do we keep fleets up and running? What are some new ways of looking at things from a maintenance perspective and everything else? And, my friends over at Coltrain, they've been on the show a few times here, and I'm very ecstatic to welcome them back on today. Mr. Caleb Johnson is on to join me today. So Caleb, thank you so much for taking the time to join me.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. No, thanks for having me, man.
No, I'm looking forward to it, right? Because it's we'll get into this in a little bit, but it's on the maintenance side of things, I got a couple of buddies who are diesel mechanics, and, they've talked about, a pending technician shortage. There's so much opportunity that's out there. And then especially what I love the most about with what you guys got going on is being from a small town myself. It's dude, you could bring this out into pretty much anywhere in the country, right? You don't need to be in a major metro area and stuff like that. So, but dude, I always like to lead in every show like this. But how'd you get your start in all of this?
So yeah, man, I was kind of born into it, to be honest with you. I grew up. My mom was in the truck leasing space, working for outfits like Penske. She worked on the Kenworth side with Pack Lease. It's kind of how I got my start. Just grew up around it. When I was little, I was coloring books in my mom's office on the days I was off of school. Both my parents worked. So I was just always with my mom. I went to work with my mom, went there a lot. So kind of became a second family for me there. Going to work with her and talking with the technicians and all those things. These are the same guys that would, just for fun, they'd throw me up in one of the tractors on the yard when they were riding me around the yard in the tractor. So I quite literally as a kid, grew up, around them and just always was really, really loved them. So that's kind of how I really got my start. and after that, it just developed, on the military side, same thing, went into transportation field in the military. It's kind of been a common theme throughout my life. I just love playing with big trucks, man. So it's always been the case.
No, man, I love that. And thank you for your service out there. And,
Appreciate
there's so many people that, have that. And I had a couple of guys on the show back in November around Veterans Day talking about that. Right. And I've also had, it's called Troops to Logistics on the show. They're a nonprofit where, they get people who are coming in from the military and helping them transition into jobs inside of transportation. And that's what my dad did. He drove for like 40 years, but dude, he started driving in the military when he served in Germany, and that's where he got to start driving his trucks. And then he came back and started a trucking company and worked in that in a career. And it's like, I think like there's so much of like, I personally think it's like a missed opportunity for most companies to like overlook the veteran community. And especially like you guys got all the on the job training you can get, right? Like you were out. I mean, were you wrenching on trucks in the military?
So I did operator level maintenance. So funny enough, just like your dad, I was actually an operator. I was an 88 Mike, which is your motor transport operator, right? So those guys are a lot more stick time than they are wrench time. But they work hand in hand with your maintenance teams, with like your 91, 92 Bravos, that kind of stuff, looking at, just working hand in hand with those mechanics to get maintenance done. So I always spent a lot of time with the maintenance section because my civilian experience was primarily on the wrench side. And then, military, I'm still in the reserves today. I still do the reserve gig, been doing it for about 12 years now. So, that said, it's done a lot for me to structure my life and even my career. Obviously, I feel like it's just given me an extra edge. So yeah, I highly encourage young folks out there that are looking for a path in life and, not really sure where to start. The military is a really great way to do that. And like you said, you get that on the job training in any field. And it's amazing. People don't realize when they think of the military, they think it's guys kicking indoors and doing all this stuff. There's just so many things out there. There's public relations, graphic design artists. There's just so many different avenues in the military that people don't think of. So again, highly, highly encourage the young folks out there trying to get started in this industry or any industry. It is a great way to get that on the job training and just give you some direction in life. So,
yeah, I mean, coming from a small town, I think like that's kind of like the biggest thing is like, what's next, right? Like now at almost 40 years old, I never wanted to go to college, to be honest with you. Like I wanted to work, I wanted to build something, but like I went to school because like that was what we were spoon fed when I was growing up, right? Like, oh, you got to go to college. If you want to make any money in your life, you got to go to college. So I went to college, and ironically, it cost me a hell of a lot more than it didn't.
Yeah.
But I look at it is that's why like I'm such a proponent of this industry as a whole and all facets of it, because it's like this is such a pathway of stability in the job market. Like I look at it is like, at least I feel like in our lifetime, there's going to be trucking. All right. Like, cause like, let's be honest, if the supply chain and transportation stop, we have way bigger problems to be worrying about at that point, where our paychecks coming from. But like, I look at that, and then the next step down, down the line of it was like mechanics, right? Like there's always going to be a need for that. And that's one thing. Cause my son is, he's going to be 15. And I'm trying to talk to him about stuff about, like, hey, what are you thinking about doing? I don't want to like push anything on him, but it's like those trades, like skilled labor, I personally think that's the next like gold rush that's out there, because it's like, if you look at the aging workforce inside of, I mean, dude, even in plumbing, mechanics, like, decent mechanic, even in, truck drivers, stuff like that, there's a massive opportunity that could come down. And was that something that you were kind of thinking after, with your military services, is like getting into, the diesel mechanic side of things? Was that like a passion for you to kind of jump in, and then seeing that career stability that can come along with it?
Yeah, I just saw a lot of it. My mom did really well, and she was on, like I said, on the lease sale side. So that was a little bit different. Don't get me wrong, a little bit different, vertical for her. But nonetheless, I've grown up in the shop. I knew these guys. I stayed in touch. I had a very good, finger on the pulse of the industry because of my mom. And with that, I just knew that there was obviously money to be made there. And it was just, you could go as far as you wanted to go. I watched guys that were technicians turn into managers and continue to move their way up, So that said, for me, it was one of those things where I saw an opening there, and I took it wholeheartedly. I started out delivering parts. Funny enough, that's what I did. I was a parts driver for International, and so I delivered parts, kind of cut my teeth, kind of understanding more about the trucks there, and then told them, hey, you could pay me the same lousy money, but throw me in the shop with some of these guys. Let me learn a skill. I never went to a technical school. That was never something I did. You know, and obviously military background just kind of helped propel me forward with some of those traits, you know, and that said, and here I am, man. And I'm living proof that it doesn't take a lifetime for you to move up in this industry. You know, I'm 29 years old. So that said, it didn't take me long to get where I'm at. It's just one of those things. If you've got the work ethic, if you got the drive, and if it's something that's interesting to you, highly recommend you guys just chase it. Just chase it. Because this is an industry you can do as good or as bad as you'd like to do, you know? And like you said, with the skilled labor shortage, man, I mean, in the coming years, I can't tell you, as we continue to grow, even at Coltrain, we're very selective about who we bring on. We're going through candidates a lot before we find somebody that we feel like is qualified and somebody that we want on the team going out and servicing our customers. So that said, you know, again, highly encourage folks that are out there thinking about doing this. It's a great industry. It's a great career. It doesn't take long if you're willing to apply yourself and go after it.
So with you heading up business development out there, how much do you take that into consideration as you're going out and, you know, trying to get the fleets to work with and everything? And then you're looking at it as like, hey, I want to pair the right mechanic with the right fleet. Are those things that go through your mind as you're out there assessing new opportunities for you?
Oh, absolutely. So, you know, with our customer base is so diverse, we've got everything from, you know, light duty vehicles, school buses, you know, vac trucks. I mean, just everything you could think, you know, dry freight. We've got reefer body trailers. We just touch so many different pieces. You know, we have guys touching forklifts. So we really we aren't a one size, you know, fits all company. We really cater to the customer. And same thing goes with how we apply our technicians. Just like having the right tool for the job, right? We want to have the right technician for that customer. So when we look at the customer base, we're assessing, you know, well, technician A, he can weld, and this customer is going to require a lot of fab work. There's a lot of fab work being done here. So we want to make sure that we have a technician that can do that fab work well, and we pair them up correctly. Same thing goes, you know, reefer work. Obviously, want to make sure we have a guy that's really comfortable with refrigerated units if we have a customer that's presenting that to us. So when I'm out there doing that, I'm obviously in my head thinking about how can we best match up our technician skill set to the customer, right?
So how are you out there? You know, because again, like you guys work on a, you know, pretty, just from the sounds of what you're describing there, a pretty diverse group of customers, right? Kind of across the board. So there isn't that one size fits all with it. And have you found like a lot of companies they're not thinking that they could have a service like on-site fleet maintenance because they're like, oh, hey, well, we're just medium duty or we're school buses like you talked about, right? Like we've always sent it to this one shop. Are you kind of seeing people's perspectives and mindsets shift towards this as like a viable option here?
Yeah, absolutely. Mobile is the way of the future. I'll tell everybody that. Mobile is the way of the future. You're seeing a lot more outfits come out with that. You know, a lot of private equities are buying up the mom and pop so that they can grow as well. So you're just seeing a lot more of the mobile than you used to. So mobile is the way of the future for sure. You know, as we continue to go out and acquire our customer base, you know, we're hearing more and more about customers are interested in mobile, right? If they weren't using it before, they're definitely interested in it now. And like you said, there's some fleets, I think they think that because of however their fleet is set up or whatever equipment they're using, they think that mobile doesn't apply to them, but mobile can apply to everything. We find the right guy with the right skill set. If we know that we've got a lot of heavy equipment work in an area, we're hiring a heavy equipment technician for that area. So it really is dependent upon the population there as far as what that customer base consists of, and then how we can best serve that area, right? So if that area is known for those heavy equipment pieces, then obviously we're going to hire those heavy equipment techs. That area is known for reefer work. We want to make sure we have that reefer tech. So I would just say that to any customers out there looking at mobile. Mobile is got so many different avenues that anyone could use mobile. Anybody out there could use mobile. It doesn't matter what your business is. There's a way to utilize mobile. I would just tell them that it's new. It's new to a lot of people, and that, you know, give it a shot because it's saving you a lot of downtime. Our guys aren't, you know, you're not having to send drivers out and chase a vehicle You're not having to send drivers out, and have a bunch of downtime with your fleet. We're coming to you. We're saving you guys money there. In addition to that, our turnaround time in mobile tends to be a lot faster than that of a dealership or a shop, right? We talk to customers all the time that tell us, well, my truck went in for a PM service and it took them, a week to get back to me. We're going out there and doing it next day. If not same day, we can get out there next day, 9 times out of 10. So I would just say that there's a lot to be had there for sure for customers that are looking for that service.
Because I look at it, with what you guys are offering out there, and it's like I feel like when you're building anything, business wise, is you only know what you know. And I think a lot of people react to problems as opposed to being proactive towards problems. And that's where it's like that's where I kind of try and connect the dots with a lot of like what you guys are doing out there is it's like, how much money are people spending every year because they didn't do preventative maintenance on their fleet? Because it's like, again, as you're out there trying to build a business and you're trying to conserve finances and everything else to keep your operation, viable and afloat, you don't necessarily think like, well, maybe if I look at it from this perspective, I will minimize my downtime of a potential issue coming up and happening, right? Because again, like, I'm not a mechanic, but like, I know that there's probably a lot of drivers and fleet owners out there that are like, I'm not a mechanic, right? Like I drive that, like, that's what I want to do. And this is why it's like, I want people to start thinking of it from this perspective, because it's like, if you're looking at your maintenance expense on your entire fleet, what is that costing you as opposed in its current venture, as opposed to like scheduling preventative maintenance and working with somebody like you guys to get ahead of any of those potential, like, obviously it's not going to eliminate it from happening, but like get ahead of any of those potential big issues that could come down.
Yeah, it's so crazy to me. Like, as we said, we go out and we see all different types of fleets, like I had mentioned. So preventative maintenance is one thing that's universal. I'll tell everybody this. It doesn't matter what type of equipment you're operating, from the smallest to the largest pieces of equipment. The preventative maintenance process is going to save you an infinite amount of downtime. Again, there's some things you just can't prevent, right? Breakdowns will still happen from time to time, but you can minimize that by a lot by just following a good preventative maintenance schedule. So as far as that goes, the biggest miss that I see, like as we go out and we look at these fleets, is either customers they're using like a third-party fleet management company, but they're kind of hands off and they don't really know. They're completely reliant upon these FMCs to manage their process for them. And I would just say to fleet managers out there that are using those are great tools, but you as a fleet manager should be very involved in that maintenance process and that preventative maintenance process, because there is more to preventative maintenance than just an oil change. And you have a lot of misconceptions about that too. As we go around the industry, we see that a lot as well. Customers refer to it as an oil change, and we're like, well, no, it's a preventative maintenance inspection, where we're touching most every component on this truck, or at least putting eyes on every component on this truck. And you just see that a lot, where customers think it's just an oil change and we can keep chugging along with these pieces of equipment. That's just not the case. There's so many pieces that should be touched and inspected, and it's a huge miss on the customer's part, on these fleet managers' part, if that's all we're doing is, you want a Jiffy Lube service oil change. That's not what we're about. I think any maintenance service worth their salt, that's not what we're about. We want to go through that truck with a fine tooth comb and make sure that it's safe going down the road, so that their family, my family, and everybody else's family can go home safe at the end of the day. And that's the name of the game for us. I mean, we're looking for long-term partnerships with fleet managers and organizations that truly care about their fleet and keeping up with safety and the maintenance on their fleet. We want to partner with them for success. It's all about the partnership for us. That's where we're at, man. We're all about the partnership.
How did you guys get up to a 95% like on-site repair success rate? Like that, again, outside looking in, like, is that because you're describing the in-depth approach that you guys take to everything, right? Like you're not there because, like, again, this is just my perspective. You guys aren't there to just do one thing. You're there to ensure the entire unit or the entire equipment is operating at its fullest potential to like get ahead of a lot of this stuff. Is that what, like, obviously there's a lot of trial and error that leads up to a statement like a 95% on-site repair success rate. So like, how did that get to that? And is that what kind of leads into it?
Yeah. I mean, as far as the 95% on-site repair rate, I mean, we have the best equipment. I will say this this company, we did not spare expenses on making sure that our technicians were well equipped to be able to perform 95% of any repair in the field. You know, our guys aren't out there swinging motors and transmissions, but injectors, you know, getting in depth into the motor, you know, anything that bolts to the motor. We do AC work on site. We do computer diagnostics. And again, like I mentioned, we serve so many different facets. So we're touching reefers, we're touching equipment. We got to that point, two things is one, because we keep our guys well equipped. And like I mentioned, I think having your finger on the pulse as a leader from the top down, I'll tell you, Kevin and Kyle Coltrain, phenomenal leaders. These guys are out in the field with the guys. They're going out, they're selling in the markets. They're doing all the things. These are not, our senior leadership is not the ones sitting behind desks monitoring a spreadsheet all day. Right. And I think that's where we have kind of separated ourselves from the rest of the industry, is from the top down. Everyone here is invested in making sure that those guys can go out and perform 95% of the repairs. And I think that our preventative maintenance process has attributed a lot of that success. Going through those trucks with the fine tooth comb, we're able to catch a lot of this stuff before it goes down the road and breaks. And then again, it's like I mentioned, it's, you know, we're making sure we have the right people in the right places, and we're all committed to that from the top down. Kevin and Kyle, you know, Chris, you got him on the show, you know, a few weeks back, and he'll tell you the same thing. We're just committed to making sure we have the best technicians doing the best job possible to keep these fleets going down the road safely.
How much of maintenance and preventative maintenance do you think is like a data play at this point, Caleb, where it's like, hey, you've worked on a certain amount of reefer units. You could probably tell, like, based on the year and everything, like, hey, this part is bound to fail around this time or this hour mark and stuff like that. Are you guys using all of that, tracking anything internally to where it's like you can make sure that your trucks are stocked with the right repair, you know, like right parts and everything like that? Is it more of a data thing than anything?
I would say yes, but in order to collect that data, what I will tell you is it's on hand technicians touching their units. So I would say that for us, the way we look at the data is, like I mentioned, we try to partner a technician with that customer that fits his skill set, and we try to make sure that that's the primary technician that goes to that site consistently. So we've tried to partner where technician goes on site, he learns that fleet, he knows it so well that as we're seeing the repairs come through our system, we're seeing, okay, well, this customer has a lot of these failures at this interval, right? So we know that this is an item that technician A that's servicing this customer all the time needs to have on his truck. So predictive maintenance is kind of what you're talking about through data is a part of what we do for sure. But I would say that we rely heavily on the technician being on the ground, the feedback we're getting from the technician. And then we see it come through on the repair orders. Obviously, if we're getting repeat issues with different units and those things, we're seeing that come through on our repair orders, and we evaluate that way to make sure that we have the right equipment and the right parts on that technician's truck to service that customer.
So a lot of it is it's kind of like, you know, you go in and you do your overall first inspection, and like it improves essentially as you go. And the more that your guys' mechanics service these fleets and everything, you guys are going to get a lot better at building up that kind of like customer profile. And it's like, again, there's no overarching box that you try and fit everybody in. It's like an individual profile on a customer by customer basis. And that's how you guys are able to kind of like build that up downstream to get ahead of anything potentially that could happen in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Large or small fleets, man. We do that same process, whether there's 4 trucks involved or 400 trucks involved. It's the same process for us. That initial you know, call out with the technicians, we try to use that as a time to do a fleet assessment as well. So we'll have our local leaders, we try to do white glove service, man. We'll have local leaders go out as we roll out new customers, and we really try to learn their fleet to the best of our ability. We want to know what industry are they serving. You know, we want to know more. It's just as much of them learning us as us learning them, you know?
Mm-hmm. So like, does that, you know, because like, obviously you're not there every single repair with your mechanics and your technicians, excuse me. How, like, are you guys, like, how are you guys really tracking, you know, again, because it's like, I'm kind of like spitballing here a little bit, Caleb, because you guys seem like you're very, very customer focused on this stuff, right? Like, so how have you guys been able to apply that? You know, because again, getting a customer is one thing, but keeping a customer is a completely different sale, you know, and that's one thing that I try and talk to people about in freight, right? Because it's like, hey, getting a customer is only like a small portion of the battle, because getting a customer is one thing, but keeping them and growing with them is another. So it's like, how are you really working through that on like a customer by customer basis, right? Because it's like, hey, we got him here. Now, is it like kind of that white glove approach that you're taking? Like you guys have found like, hey, this is the best thing. This is the best system that we've found to keep customers coming back and wanting to work with us.
Yeah, I think the thing that, our special sauce for success for us has really been hammering home that family owned aspect. In today's industry, there's so much of the, private equity and things of that nature where they're not giving the customers the attention that they deserve, even after the win, right? Even after you win, like you said, there's winning the customer over, and there's continuing to win them over. I think for us, our process has always been, we continue to treat that customer as family, even after that initial visit, even after the work is coming in, even after all those things are happening. We want to continue to treat them as if they were family to us. So we check in. We have check-ins. Our MSMs, which is our mobile service managers in those territories, are kind of our subject matter experts with that. They know the customer base really well in their individual areas. And we have them go and do those interactions, go stop in just monthly, quarterly. We have different setups for different operations, but I would just say that monthly, quarterly check-ins, going to walk in there with some donuts and some coffee for their team and saying, hey, how are you guys doing? And asking for the feedback. This is where it's all at for us, is we want to know what we're doing wrong so that we can be better. So we're not just asking, hey, are we doing great? Tell us how great we're doing. No, we want to know, is there a way for us to make our process better and easier for the customer base? Their goal is to keep their fleet on the road, right? Our goal is to make sure that we can facilitate that for them. In order to do that, there has to be that understanding between the fleet manager or that customer and our technicians and our leadership team. So for us, sitting down, breaking bread with the customers, going to lunch, doing those things, we do that, a lot of that. We spend a lot of time and resources in that, even for existing customers. It's not just the, reel them in and forget about them type of deal for us,
No, I love that. And that's honestly, because it's like, I know what we do right in our business, because like, I feel like that's what keeps the customers coming back. But like, I want to know what we're doing wrong and what we can improve upon, because I'm not naive to think that my customer isn't somebody's top prospect. You know what I mean? And like,
Sure.
and there's not competition going out there at all times. And it's like, I'm trying to look at like, how do we improve and how do we separate ourselves from our competition? And I think like, as a lot of companies go towards automation, right? Like, and then removing that human element. And that's one thing that I talk about a lot on this show, Caleb, is it's like, hey, yeah, we use automation and technology, but it's never going to be customer facing. It's never going to be carrier facing. I don't care what anybody tells me. I want people to know throughout all of our growth and however big we build this company, that when they call my company, it's going to be a real person answering the phone, because I personally think that's going to be the competitive advantage of the future. It's not going to be AI and automation. It's going to be, how do you prove that there is a real person handling this? And I think that there is still a large percentage of the population that is out there that will crave that. It will come back. It might not be there right now. I'm just kind of banking on the fact that like, people need to know that you care about them. And especially if they're spending tens, 20s of thousands of, or hundreds of thousands of dollars a month with you.
Amen. Yeah. I mean, as far as that goes, I couldn't agree with you more. I think through the AI, as this generation comes up with AI and those things, there's been some loss on that. There's been some miss on that for sure. And I think AI has its place. I don't want to be one of these guys that, oh, AI is, terrible. No, I think it's great. I think there's a lot of benefits that could come from it in this industry and so many others. But I do think at the end of the day, we're all people, right? We're all human beings. We're social creatures. I think that we absolutely need to have that. And who doesn't want that? I mean, I think that at the end of the day, no matter what industry you're in, I'll tell you, we have our struggles with it on mobile. This is a side of mobile. We're mobile. Our guys are spread out. We don't always we're not right there with our guys all day, every day. So like, we have to find reasons to break bread. We have to find reasons to go and sit at a table with each other and go and do events and those things. But those are happy technicians after those. Any of those technicians that you talk to after we go and take our guys out, and customers too, any of those guys you talk to, you feel rejuvenated, you feel recharged. And I think that as human beings, we all want that, right? So I would just say that no matter how big you get, whether it's, you know, like I said, whether we're running 60 service trucks, 600, 6,000, having people involved in our processes and having where they're customer facing, and our technicians too, our managers have to be technician facing. I just think it's the only way to continue to grow successfully. And it's the only way to continue to win over hearts and minds of technicians and customers alike, because we're all human beings. So,
dude, Caleb, I couldn't agree more with that statement, man. I'm right there with you. It's like, we're going to be just as invested into automation and technology as the next person out there, but there's going to be a fine line that I will allow that to in my organization. And, you know, the best part about me making that call, guys, is like, I could be wrong, but I'm banking on my intuition of how humans like to operate, and knowing that that's going to be a craving for that. Might not be there today, but I feel like it's going to make its way back in. But Caleb, I appreciate your time today, man. How does anybody reach out to you? Maybe they want to become a mechanic or, you know, technician. Maybe they want to get involved or just have some questions about what you guys are doing at Coltrain.
Yeah, no, we're growing rapidly. So we're always looking for guys, you know, to kind of echo something that was said on a call many weeks ago, is we consider ourselves the special forces of the industry. We're very selective in our processes. So that said, if any of you guys are interested in it, or if you just want to know more, I love talking to young technicians and trying to help guide them. Go to our website. You could put in our website on our career page, you know, put in the form to talk to us. Our guys are on LinkedIn. You guys can look me up on LinkedIn, any of our leadership on LinkedIn. We're on LinkedIn. You know, any of that stuff, you guys can always reach out to us. And then obviously go on, you know, www.coltrainonsite.com, and you guys could see all of our stuff there as well. But yeah, no, we love talking to guys, whether you're new, old, you know, we'll talk to you. We'll help guide you. And if you're a good fit, you know, we'll bring you into the family. So.
Perfect. Caleb, I appreciate it, man. That's going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys can't find Caleb or Coltrain out there, hit me up. I will gladly put you guys in direct contact with him. But that's going to be it for today. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank that show on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money, anything. Hey, ooh, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when I'm